2, right? Let me get a 2, 2, 2. Now for each and every last one of you all, let me see here. For each and every last one of you all, go ahead and, hold on, let me see. I got everybody muted. Got everybody muted. So make sure that you have it on your end, but thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we're gonna start this over. Once again, welcome everyone, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Tasha M. Dyer, and I wanna welcome each and every last one of you all to BYOB Market Talks. This is BYOB Market Talks. Tasha M. Dyer, the Trade Whisperer, and I'm excited to have you all, right? Excited to have you all here with me this evening for BYOB Market Talks. That's what this is. Now, this is the training part of it. We have been cashing out all week. Now, today, I know you all had a very profitable week. I know you all had it today. You had a very profitable week. I know that's what you had, right? So this is your first time on a call. We got quite a few 111s. We got quite a few 111s on the call. And I'm excited to have you all with us this first evening. Now, I promised that what we were gonna do, actually, I have not shared my screen yet. I thought that's what I was doing. I promised that I was going to go over, you know, some of these tools that we were discussing this morning. And that is what we're going to do tonight. I made a commitment and a promise, and we're definitely going to do that this evening here tonight. And now what I do know is what we're gonna do first. We're gonna talk about the BYOB cash out. We're gonna talk about how you can personally cash out. We're gonna talk about that, but we're also, and I actually have a few of them that are kind of set up. They've been climbing. I don't know about you, but I don't know how many of you all have actually been riding this GBP USD. How many of you all, just a few of these trades, they've had quite a few of them. Especially, we took this trade this morning. So we'll talk about this one. We'll talk about this one again. But of course, the afternoon, right, this kind of goes a little bit slower. Now, this is a trade from this morning's call that we identified on the morning's call. So we'll talk about, we'll use this one, right? We'll definitely, let's dive into this trade, okay? And we'll identify this trade as a trade that, let's identify this trade as a trade to show you how to BYOB cash out. But one of the things that, as you advance in your skill set, some of you all are going to want to understand, and you're gonna wanna know, how do I grab more than 10 pips, right? How do I completely maximize the tools and completely understand how to take it to that next dimension and that next level, right? How do I do that? And that's what we're here to talk about tonight, right? That's how I do that. And so, you know, how do I maximize it? Because when we're here and we're pulling from over here, okay, we're literally, you know, we're trading zone to zone, okay? You're trading zone to zone. That's what you're doing. Now, you can take it, you can understand your market structure, you can use this, it can help guide you, and you can understand. Now, you can use it so many ways. I mean, literally, you can use it so many ways. But for the most part, you see it, you get that entry trigger, and because it triggers so much, right? Because it triggers, like right here, I got Euro AUD, you're gonna have Euro AUD on the different time frames. So if I got it on the 4 hour, then I know when I got it here, this is a correction, right? So you're gonna have it, you're gonna get different calls, you're gonna get different alerts, you're gonna get different things so many times throughout here. But then when I come back over here, you know, so I'm gonna get the alerts as they trigger throughout. You see, I'm on an hour time frame right now, but I'm gonna get the alerts as they trigger throughout, right? That's what I'm gonna get. That's what I'm going to be receiving, right? That's what I'm gonna see. That's what I'm gonna get as it's triggering, as it's moving up. And if you notice that, you know, we might have caught this trade. Let me get rid of this right here. But ultimately, you know, we were talking about it. That's why those arrows are here. And I left my computer up intentionally. You know, I mean, anybody still in this trade? Anybody? Anybody? 777 in the chat. Anyone still riding GBP, CAD? 777, or been, whether you've been in and out of it, or whether you're in and out of the trade, or you've been riding the trade. Anybody? 777 in the chat. There's definitely one. Definitely one we took this morning. 777 in the chat. I definitely know I have been riding this one, the GBP USD, right? Definitely a trade, right? And this is one I gave you this morning. Definitely one I've been riding. So there we go. So that's definitely one we've been riding. So I definitely want to help you guys understand how you can maximize and use these tools and do that. And if you've been riding it now, so let's say had you caught it from down here, you know, had you caught it from down here, I mean, look where you would be right now. Okay, you see that? That's 576. So now, of course, I don't know if you would have wanted to pull back or what have you, but we caught it from like right up in here. And so this morning when we looked at it, that was about 200 pips. Now, of course, the afternoon, it slows down. So it got real slow and stagnant, but that's to be expected. And that's where you want to understand the time of the day. That's where you want to understand how the market moves, and knowing that that afternoon session with the US market until that Asian session opens back up, that the market is going to slow down. And of course, looking at, I mean, that's a GBP pair. So of course, GBP is going to have more activity in the London session, but once that market closed, but then any market, I don't care what it is, because the afternoon, the only thing that's open, you know, you really want to understand the market. The only thing that's open in the afternoon is the US market. So the market moves at a snail's pace. It is crawling, it's moving, and that's not your time to scout. So if you would have still been riding this, or if you would have still been looking at this, then this is what, you know, you would have been in the trade and it would have just been moving slow. That's the time to just let trades ride and put your phone down and walk away from it. So that's that time. So you want to have an understanding of the market and know what your trades are actually doing. So let's talk about the BYOB cash out, and let's talk about this tool that we're looking at. Now, you know, we'll go into it because we want to make sure we understand. And so, and when we, especially when we have days like today, because we get this question a lot, you know, when we have these type of days, you know, where we're at this overbought or oversold position, where we're talking about the market, and when we're learning how to cash out, and we're here at the 80 or we're at the 20, and we don't have that crossover or cross up, and it's not doing our normal, right? It's not doing our normal, you know, what we trained on. But this is where you have to begin to understand that I don't want you to memorize these steps. And I also know that from an educational standpoint, we went to school. And we went to school, and everything that we learned in school, we were taught to memorize, and we were taught to memorize. So I'm shifting you a little bit. I'm shifting your thought process. I'm shifting your educational background. I'm shifting you because I don't want you to memorize. I want you to understand. You know, I want you to understand what is happening, and I want you to understand why it's doing what it's doing. And, you know, because you spend all your educational years memorizing so you can test, and memorizing, and I want you to have an understanding for application. I want you to have an understanding for a relationship. I want you to have an understanding so this market can speak to you, and so you can maximize these tools. And when you do that, right, because banks use tools, and we're going to use these tools, you know, so you are your own bank. So we're going to use these tools. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to show you how to do it. And so let's talk about this BYOB cash out. And so I want you to understand what we're doing. And that's why you don't see us throwing signals out there. And even on the morning calls, you don't see me sitting there and say, okay, this is your take profit. Sometimes I give you some, like I gave you some this morning. But for the most part, you don't see me saying, okay, this is your take profit. This is what that's going to do. But when I know the market, like I gave you take profits this morning because I didn't want you to go past that point, because what did the market do? It stopped right there and it turned around. When I know something like that is going to happen, I will give that to you, because I'm like, look, I know the market's going to get right here and then it'll end up turning around or it'll do something else. And so that's why, like this morning, you had to take profit. And I'm like, don't go past this point. So, you know, sometimes I will do it from that perspective. So just for understanding standpoint, you know, now, so let's talk about the BYOB cash out. Now, and I'm gonna give you the same example because it's still marked up, and I really want you to understand. And because this is where this nice ride started. Now, it honestly, it actually started where I showed you where it started way down here, and how this is a continuation of a very significant uptrend, okay? But it got right around here. But we're on a 15-minute chart, and I want to show you. So right here, okay, we got what is the BYOB cash out, okay? What is the BYOB cash out? So the BYOB cash out is right here where I got my stochastic. Okay, I got my stochastic, I got my blue line cross over the red. Now this is going to be here. And oh, thank you for that clarity. He was like, yes, your mistake, when we were talking about the memorization and not the understanding. So thank you for your clarity. So now you got you looking at the 20 to the 80, the 0 to the 100. So we're looking right here. Now, what I'm showing you is I got this blue line cross over the red and the downward momentum. I got the blue line cross over the red and the upward momentum right here. Blue line cross over the red and the downward momentum. Blue line cross over the red and the upward momentum. Okay, that's what I'm looking at right there. Now, when I'm looking at that, okay, when I'm looking at that, what I want you to see is that when I come up here, this is my leading, this is my lagging. This is my leading, these are my lagging. So you see that this one took a while to manifest. This is where I want you to understand your patience. On Tuesday night, we talked about patience. We talked about having an understanding in the market. We talked about all of that, okay? Now, as I'm looking at this, now I got my blue line cross over the red and the downward momentum. Now, I want you to understand when this actually lined up, okay? Hello? When this actually lined up, okay, you got your red candle with a flat top, okay? You got a red candle with a flat top and your PSR flip to the top. This is actually your time. This is actually the BYOB cash out right here. Now, when we come right here, we got the blue line cross over the red and the upward momentum. Now, I'm kind of gonna walk you through it because because I know where we're gonna get the confluence, but I wanna point something out because I wanna make sure that you understand how to use the tool. So right here, when we had the blue line cross over the red, if I make this bigger, you can actually see right here, right? You can actually see right here that right here, I got the green candle with a flat bottom, but I know I didn't have confluence right here, but I want to point something out to you. And right here, but I also didn't have a PSR flip right here. So that there's no arrow here, right? We have no arrow. Right here, it took a while to play out. No arrow here, right? I got my green candle, flat bottom, PSR flip, right? But I can tell you, I already knew before we flipped it, just by looking at this, that we probably were not gonna have confluence, just by looking at the stochastic, looking at how this candle looks, right? I now understand none of these were there, but just kind of looking at it, I can kind of tell we probably didn't have it. Now, even coming right here, you know, just kind of looking at it. So we know we didn't get it till way over here, okay? Now, I know exactly. Okay, somebody pointed it out. I was gonna wait and point it out on when we got to there. But exactly, looks like consolidation. Somebody pointed it out. Thank you for that. So I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I didn't say it on purpose. Thank you for that. I do like to see if you guys gonna drop something in the chat. So now, what happened is, and this is where we talk about patience, okay? This is where we talk about patience. Because what happened is when this broke out of here, okay? Now, one of the few things I want to point out, you had to wait, okay? You had to wait. You had to wait on this, okay? You had to wait. Now, what happens is I often hear you guys talk about how you have to wait on a trade setup. That's okay. And I'll say this again. How long do we wait on a retirement plan? How long do we wait on those things, right? So if you have to wait for those type, you know, how long do you have to wait for your paycheck when you go to work? You put in the work. How long do you have to wait? So it's okay to wait on a trade setup. You wait because you do not force the market. You allow the market to come to you. You allow the market to set up. You allow it to get in a proper position. And that's where your wealth comes from. Because regardless, you can call it a COVID market, you can call it whatever you want to. You allow the market to set up. And when it sets up, this strategy is back tested at 92%. There are many of you all that are cashing out at a higher percentage rate. There are many testimonies in here. There are so many 777s in the chat. And with all of that, you know, there are so many of you all, when you allow the market to do what it does, then guess what? Your wealth is there. The only time is not is if you force it. And so you just allow it to set up, and that's where your patience and understanding come in. And this is one of those times that you allow it to set up and you allow it to come in. And when that happens, that is where you generate it, because on the other side of this, right? On the other side of this was over 200 pips. It's literally over 200 pips. So that's where that comes in. So now, as I'm looking at this, we want to do our time frame confluence. So yes, over 200 pips. So I dropped down to my 5 minute, and we took this morning, and I dropped down to my 5 minute. And when I drop down to my 5 minute, my 5 minute needs to still be selling or buying, right? Still be selling or buying. And it needs to still be selling or it needs to be buying, which this is buying, right? It's still buying. Now, that's the lower time frame for the confluence is about that entry point, right? It's about that entry point. So now when I go to my hour, because my confluence is on my hour. Now where we at? Where we at? Now, it's about, so this, as you can see, like I said, I wasn't gonna say it, but somebody pointed it out. So where you can see it is right here. You can see this is in a sale, and you can see it has to look like a set up. Okay, it has to look like a setup. And then this one has to look like a setup as well. Both of them do. And I was gonna thank you for pointing out, right? Thank you for pointing out what we were talking about before, where it was literally, right? Thank you for pointing out, but it was literally, right, what we were talking about. No, you see the stochastic, you see the whole thing, like what you do on the 15 minute, where this was consolidation. And I was gonna, like I said, I was gonna point it out here, and you can see that that was consolidation. And then it began to break out to where it started, and it went into that buy. So, no, you see, you got this candle here, and then of course the next candle went further. So, all right, so now you got to understand. Now, if I check my 4 hour, my 4 hour is going to tell me what you're going to look at the 4 hour for the overall trend of the market. When you check your 4 hour for the overall trend of the market, you can see that this has been in a buy, right? And we talked about, now tonight's training is not about that, and I want to make sure I get to what we're talking about tonight. So we'll talk about that on another call, okay? But we've trained on it when we've done the harmonics, and we pull up the trend lines and things of that nature. So we'll definitely go back to that. So we'll definitely go back to that. But we'll definitely go back to that. So we'll go back to that when you talk about when that trend breaks and goes back into that. So I want to make tonight I want to talk about these pivot points and getting into this too. So I want to focus on that tonight. But we'll talk about how you know if you're trading in the correction and the things of that nature and that trend line. So we'll get to that with the tools training. But tonight I want to stay focused on where we're going, because that's going to take a while to kind of get into that. Okay, that will definitely take a while to get into that. Now, my screen, the way the share is set up, my screen is housed into my browser. So that's an adjustment you have to make on your end. So my share is set up to where, you know, it's including my entire browser. So yeah, I have my entire browser shared. So now what we're doing is, so now we know we have this buy here. If I look at AUD CAD, we have this buy. If we look at GBP USD, we have this buy, right? Now you notice on each one of those, we're sitting at the 80. And normally when we're looking, and okay, I'm on the higher time frames right now, and that's intentionally. So you notice that when we're looking on those higher time frames, okay, what we're typically looking for is, and so GBP USD has been one that's been riding and it's been going up and it's been in a strong buy. So let me take off of here and we keep so now look at this, okay? Look at how this has been buying. I mean, I caught a buy on it yesterday, and I mean, it was very significant. And so you look at how it's been buying. And so you can kind of see, I mean, look at that. And so based on where you got in it, so even if you caught it from down here, or if you caught it from way down here at the bottom, I mean, look at how many pips it's gone up. That's 837. But if I catch it from just down here, you know, that's still like 568. I mean, look at the pips. Look at the movement that's here and what's been happening. So it really just, and that's why I say some of you have been riding, some of you have been in and out, but this movement that is happening, the movement that's in the market, right? Because I stopped you all yesterday at 1.300. So I stopped you all around here. You know, we stopped yesterday around here and it's still above that. So, you know, of course we called it for more, but even just since above that, you know, it's higher than, it's well above, you know, what we called it at. It's like 120 pips above where we stopped it yesterday. And so just for understand, it's like, so when you understand that, now let's look at how do you using pivot points. And he's like, yeah, 777 in the chat. Okay. So for understanding, you know, that's a good question. Well, let's look. So just for an understanding standpoint, you know, when in an understanding standpoint, when I open the tool, so what you want to do when you open the tool, let me go back to one that we're not looking at. So when I open the tool, right, I don't know if anybody caught that buy right there. Haha, look at the NASDAQ. So if anybody, you know, when you open the tool, okay, when you click the strategy, so when you click the strategy, right, you see down here where it says strategy, okay, where you see down here where it says strategy, okay, and mine is not pulling up right now. Come on. So I'm gonna talk you through it. Because it's taking a minute to load. So when you click the strategy, there is, here we go. When you click the strategy, let me change my share. So when I click this strategy right here, I come in here, and if anybody you all want to know this cha-ching, your cha-ching is right here too. You can cut it on or off. And you see where it says hide chart details, watch list news? You want to cut that on. You want to have that on right there. So you want to have this on. You want to make sure it's on. And when you have that on, you want to save it, okay? Now, if you're on a mobile or Safari, you must click here, okay? So just like when you pick your strategy here, BYOB cash out is right here, and it's also an intraday. It doesn't matter which one you pick, you just need to select it. And when you select that, of course, your chart details is right here as well. You want to make sure you select that. If you're on a mobile or Safari, you need to click that. So like if you have a Mac or anything like that, you need to click this. And then you have to save it here as well. So you got to save it both places, okay? Let me change my screen share back. All right, so I got my screen share back. So now I come back over here. Let's go back to my GBP USD. So now the question I was asked, I love you guys, right? Because, so you got it now, awesome. So now when you come back here, you can kind of see you got a watch list. You cannot change this watch list, it's embedded in there, okay? So what you see on here, you got information on this currency. You can kind of see where the currency is, okay? It's gonna tell you where the currency is. It's gonna give you information on this currency. You look at how it's moving, it's changing, right? It's also, it's also giving you like the range. The range has been in today, right? This is the range it's been in today. This is the 52-week range. It's performance. So if I change this to a month, okay, we're gonna change this to a month. If I change this to a month, so over the last week, how has it been performing over the last week? So it kind of lets you know it's up 2.4% over the last week, up 4.6% over, see how it's up over the last month, over the last 3 months, how it's up over the last 3 months, over the last 6 months, right? Over the last 6 months where it's at, year to date. So if I go back for an entire year where it's at, and you know, year to date, and then of course the year, right? Exactly. So it kind of lets you know where the currency and how it's performing. And then of course our technicals. I can click here for more technicals. Okay, do I want to be on the hour, my 4-hour, or my daily? Where do you want to be? 15-minute. Remember, the higher time frames control the market. The higher time frames tell you what the market's doing. My lower time frame is all the activity, right? So my lower time frame really is not going to tell me where the market's going. It's all the activity. So my higher time frame is really what the market is the direction and what the market's doing. So let's just look at the hour, right? Let's just look at the hour. So when I look at the hour, it's telling me my summary, my overall summary, looking at my oscillators, looking at my moving averages, looking at everything is giving me an overall summary of the actual condition of the market. So the overall summary of the condition of the market is actually in a buy. You'd either be in a strong buy, be in a strong sell. The overall summary of the market is actually in a buy. So there's no need to guess. There's no need to do any of that. It's of course, now you still got to remember, you know, you remember, let the market talk to you. You know, you're not using anything as a crutch, right? We're gonna understand it, but I want you to have information and understand. So remember over here, this says strong buy, this says sell. So you still want to understand, you're going to apply the strategy. You're going to make sure you understand how to read it. You want the market to speak to you, right? So just, I want you to understand that as well. So when you come down here, you see all our moving averages, right? Every last one of them says it's in a buy. Now I come over here, you're looking at this, and we got something that says sell, something that says buy, something that say neutral. So you just kind of, you see where we're at. Some say sell, buy, neutral. Now, when we get down here, these are our pivots, right? These are our pivots. These are our traditional pivots. This is our pivots with our Fibonacci. And then of course you have your other pivots that we really don't use that much. This one actually is just an extension of pivots. This one actually uses previous trading sessions. And this one actually just uses like a different formula where, and you can kind of see that they just have like one support and resistance line with the pivot. So pretty much I'm gonna just pull on this classic pivot to kind of show you what we're talking about here today, right? I'm gonna just pull on this one right here, this classic pivot right here. Now, you, of course, it's not fed. We're gonna write the numbers down, right? We're gonna come back over here on the hour. I'm gonna just kind of show you where we are. So you can actually come put your pivots in the market. So I mean, you can kind of see it when you come here, right? So of course, if you're looking left and you kind of see where market structure is, you see what's happening and what's been going on. But if I come drop my pivot lines, okay, I drop my pivot points, I drop my pivot lines, you want to see where they are in the market. Now that pivot, that actual pivot point is like that center of the market. Okay, that's that high, low, and close. That's that high, low, and that close on that time frame that you're working on. That's that high, low, and that close of that time frame you're working on. So if I put that one on there, right? If I put that one on there, that's that pivot point right now. And what do you see if I put that one on there? Okay, and I went up a time frame, even though I said the hour. Let me kind of close this a little bit, kind of give you a visual. I'm trying to, even I went up so you can kind of see. So even if I do that, what do you see right now? If this is my pivot line, okay? If this is my pivot line, what are you seeing? That this has been, look at it, it's been a major support and a major resistance line, right? It's been a major support and a major resistance line. This is actually my pivot line, okay? It's been a major support and a major resistance line. So, and like I said, I went up a time frame so you guys can see it, because you see I can't squish it up any tighter. You see what I'm saying? I cannot make this any tighter. I'm trying to get it on the screen so you can see it. But it's been a major support and a major resistance. That's what this has been, and you can see that. Now, if I put it's buying, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the resistance lines on there. Oh, this is the horizontal line. I just did this. This is the horizontal line, and this is the horizontal line, and then I clicked on it. So when you put that on there, when you click it, you see it's style, and I just come click coordinates, and I type it in there. These are the same numbers we just pulled from the bottom. Right? These are numbers we just pulled from the bottom. So you can kind of see where these numbers are. So, right? So that's my R1, R2, and then of course my R3. So now look at where they fall, right? Look at where they fall. You kind of see where they fall. Now you can definitely see, now in there, of course, do I have other support and resistance lines in there? Absolutely. So how does this compare to the pivot tool? Because what the pivot tool is they actually, it just has more pivots in there. So it'll have the main pivots, because the main pivots have, like, you got your main pivots, like your 3 resistance. You have, like, this is I'm gonna change the color of this. So you have your main pivot, you got your pivot, and then you have your 3 major resistance lines, and then you have other lines that's in there, like minor resistance lines. That's not your major ones. And so the pivot tool just actually identifies more. That's what it does, is identifies more. And so you can, so if I just drop down, you can see, before I drop down, because I want you looking left, you can see, so if I look to the left, the tools, I'm just talking about the tools that the company offers. But all the main pivots, I want you to be focused on the main pivots that the market identifies. I'm showing you, I'm just trying to show you the difference, because these are the main pivots that the market identifies. So, and so what you're looking at right now is the fact that if I look to the left, these are the main pivots on the hour. Now, if you look on each time frame, and like I told you, I'm only got the 4-hour up because I want you to see, because I couldn't make it tighter. But we pulled on an hour. But every time frame has their own pivots, because every time frame has their own pivots, because it's the open, the high, the low. It's that high, the low, and the close. It's like that high, the low, and the close. And so it identifies the pivots based on that. So we're not going to get into calculations. We're not going to get into all of that. But it's the high, the low, and the close. Just so you understand. That's what it is. So as I'm looking at it, okay, as I'm looking at it, and that's how you get that pivot point, and then it gives you the support and resistance levels off of that. So of course we got the support lines too, but I only put the resistance on here because I only put the resistance on here because the market is buying right now, and I want to show you what it's doing. I can add them on there too, but the market's buying. So you can see, if I, like I said, if I look to my left, you can see, of course, that I have other support and resistance lines on here as well. But so since we were in a significant buy, right, and you want to know where is it the market's going to, like right now, if you're in this still, you might have a little pullback right here. You might see a little pullback in your trade account because I just showed you where we were. Like you can kind of see, I just showed you where we were. So this will help you, like when you're saying, well, wait a minute, but the market is at a significant buy. Like, well, my stochastic is actually at the 80. The market's at the 80. Well, this is where, exactly, this is where you see where it's at. You get in your Vibrata. I pull my pivot levels, and I can say, I get in my Vibrata. I pull my pivot levels out of the Vibrata, and voila, you can actually see where the market is telling you where the next major resistance line is. Now, of course, it's hesitating right here because I just showed you when we looked left where there is a resistance line in between here. But every time you get a support and resistance line, the market is going to, right? The market is going to pause at a support and resistance line. So let me see what, as the market enters a new zone, like a strong buy, the market, it won't adjust every time it enters a new zone. It adjusts at, so like the pivots are going to adjust. So like we just entered a new day. So the pivots are going to adjust at that day. So like they're going to adjust as needed. So based on different time frames and different things like that, they'll adjust. So not necessarily a new zone, but they'll adjust. They'll adjust that. If that's why I don't teach it off of that tool, if that makes sense. I always bring it back because these are true pivots. These are true pivots. These are true pivots. So even if we pull from that tool, you still want to bring it back over here. Exactly. It will automatically adjust. It will. It will. So just to go back to that previous question, so it's not necessarily because it entered, like right here, this is that pivot point. And so we still have support lines that are actually underneath here as well. You know, we got support lines too. So we have resistance and support levels. So you got resistance and support levels. No, you want to have access to everything. I've trained on that too. So you want to have access to everything. So because there's value to everything, and I've shown how to bring the stuff from there to bring it over here, because even that pulls things and you bring it back over here, and voila, you got trade opportunities. You got to remember, everybody has a different learning style, a different personality type, and everybody adapts to different tools. So you learn the tools that best fit your personality, and then and how you adapt to the tools, and where you pull your trades from. But then of course you bring it back here, and you still want to bring it back here and validate it. You know, you still want to bring it back here and validate it, because even like with the harmonic scanner, you know, which is where we've spent a lot of our time lately, here with the harmonic scanner and using a Vibrata, the entry triggers and the alerts from the Vibrata. So we spent a lot of time on those two. And you got different personality styles and different personality types. And you have individuals that actually love pulling the trades straight out the vibrata, and then you have individuals that love pulling trades from the harmonic scanner, and you combine the two. We've just spent a lot of time there because, just as this comment that's in the chat right there, this is an amazing tool. I didn't know pivot points were in there. There is so much that individuals did not know that were available, is that we want to bring the value to it in its totality. And then of course, we're gonna venture off into some more. But just like right now, we're still diving in here, and individuals didn't know that this was available. And so then of course, we'll bring more tools and show you how to use them, and bring it back over here and show you how to maximize all the tools. Because like I tell you all the time, if the banks of the world are using tools and we're talking about becoming your own bank, then you want to know how to utilize them as well. And that's really what we are. It's showing you how to maximize everything, how to use it, and become your own bank. And that's what we are right now. It's showing you how to do that. So I'm gonna tell you to start with your mindset. Everything is mindset. Everything is mindset. It doesn't matter what you have. Everything is your mindset. Everything is your mindset. And one thing I will tell you is that I have an MBA. I am also licensed financial advisor. And that didn't come with nothing. There is an expectation, and I'm gonna go into this next trade and I'm gonna show you the exact same thing on this one. There's an expectation, right? There's an expectation. There's an expectation that when we go to school, there's an expectation when we go to school that we do it for a minimum of 4 years. We do it for a minimum of 4 years. And when we do that, 86% of individuals do not work in their degree field. So if that's the, but yet we still push a degree, and we still push going to school. So if 3 months, when I saw this, and I saw this after my experience and what I know to be true, and you see individuals that cannot retire, and after, when I got to that point and I saw this, I said to myself, if this takes me 3 months, 6 months, even if it took me a year, I was going to learn this skill set. That was my mentality. Now, did it take that? No. But that's where my thought process was. And if you approach this with any other way, then your mentality is off balance. You are completely off balance. Because we will go to school for a degree with no expectation for a return on investment for 4 years. But yet expect a return and expect wealth. And expect wealth in a month. You have to shift your mindset. You have to shift it. And when you focus on the skill set, if you focus on the skill set, I can guarantee you the wealth will come. Don't focus on the money, focus on the skill set. And I promise you the wealth will come. I promise you the wealth will come. I can guarantee it. So let's look at this one. You can see right here. Now, same thing, when we come here, everything is in here. Can you get that in writing? and we are using the vibrata. We are using the vibrata. We are using the vibrata. So now what you have right here is we actually have our pivots right here, and you can see the same thing, okay? You can see the exact same thing. And I'm quite sure it could be dropped in here, but let's look right here. So when I look at when I look at this, and when I look right here, we got, did I get the right number? because this is already at 7.2 AUD USD. Let me come back down here. Let me see. No, I did not. Just 1 second. So if I'm looking at resistance 3, that is 7.5. When is it going to be on YouTube? Soon. It will be soon. All right, so let's see here. So my pivot point is 7.0. I can't read my own handwriting. I recommend me. See, I done put the wrong number on here. So I'm putting the numbers, they've already surpassed this one. So they pretty much, so you got this one that's up here, and then you got one that, what is, I think 7.2. So right here. So when you're looking at this one, well, I'm glad you up to the challenge. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I love it. So when you look right here and you look at this one, and you can see, and you look right here and you can see this, and you actually, you push through here and you can see it's already surpassed this one, and now it's headed to the other one. So you can see what these pivot points do. So if I go to that next higher time frame as well, you can definitely see where this is. And you can, I mean, I'm just trying to show you, let me minimize this so I can show you on your screen. Right? And I'm gonna show you on the screen. You can definitely see, right? You can definitely see. Now look, right? You see how this pivot point falls, right? Look at how this pivot point falls right there. You see how that pivot point falls? Look where it's at. It's on a, look, major, major. You see how they fall? You see how they fall? I mean, look at it right there. Just look at it. And so where is this other one gonna be? Look at right there. Look at it. So you definitely see where it's at in the market. You definitely see what's transpiring. You look at it and you can definitely see. So when you go through and you put that pivot point on there, it's in there. And when you go through, you definitely see what's there. You see how it correlates and how it lines up with the market structure. So you'll see you're right on point. But will you also see the other pivot point? Yes, the other resistance points. You also see them. So when you see your trade beginning to pause, right? When you see your trade beginning to pause, it's no need to spaz out, because you know there are other supporting resistance lines in between there. You know that there are other supporting resistance lines that happen in between there. So I just kind of want to point that out as well. So that's how you use that tool. This is how you come through here and you use it. You got the information that happens through here. So, but I'm excited. So you guys can go in there and you can practice tomorrow. You can practice tonight. You know, you definitely can. And you know what? I love you guys. So I really do. So I definitely do. So thank you, thank you, thank you for that. You guys recommend me. Thank you, thank you. But you gotta have that, you gotta have that mindset. I promise you. And I'm gonna challenge you your first day. I wanna welcome you to be your own bank. I wanna welcome you to the family. I wanna welcome you. And everything is mindset. So walk in the fact that you do not have a long way to go. And I'm gonna tell you, because I was a trade whisperer before I even said trade whisperer. I said I was a Forex educator. I was a master trader. That's why you guys do affirmations at the beginning of the calls. That's why you walk in that. And so I believe that was the greatest to ever do it before I even knew how to count a pip. So you got to walk in that. And that's why I believe that. And that's why I answered that question like that. So I recommend me. I believe I'm the greatest to ever do it. And you got to believe that too. You know, so welcome to BYOB, and you got to walk in that. You got to walk in that. You got to have that crazy kind of faith. So you definitely got to have that crazy kind of faith. So this was good. Thank you. If you ever want to sprinkle a little trailing stop loss. Okay, I will take that. I got you. I got you. I have to use a laptop for that. So a trailing stop loss, and here you want mine. I got you. I definitely have to use a laptop for that. So I have to have that set up before a call. So I will keep that in mind and take that. So, but ladies and gentlemen, last minute questions, comments, testimonies. Last minute questions, comments, testimonies before we transition this call. We got like another minute. But I do want to leave you with some mindset. Walk in your crazy faith. Walk in that crazy, crazy